welcome to the Ultra Running Sam podcast. So quickly, our sponsors. We are proudly sponsored by Yugoku caps. You've seen me wearing them on the podcast. You can get the discount codes from me, send me a message. I'll send them to you. They're floating around. We're also sponsored by Phoenix head torches. Same thing goes. If you're after a discount code, just get in touch. There are there on the web, but if you want them personally from me, I will send them to you. And also, finally, we are proudly sponsored by Home Trails. So Home Trails is my YouTube series interviewing famous trail runners from hopefully around the world at some point. In the UK at the moment, where we interview them on the trail in the home trails. You understand what it is, don't you? You've listened to the show. That's hopefully turning into a bit of a brand, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Okay, on with the actual show. Okay, yeah, I quickly hit record because me and Stu were about to just have some golden content about my rolled ankle.
What happened there then? Apart from rolling your ankle, of course.
Yeah. I was just on my way home, just like my normal, like my trail commute. So I've got a couple of ways that I come home, and I intended to come the roadway home. So I've got my road shoes with me, and because I was feeling like I could probably like push a little bit on the run home, but it became very quickly I was very aware very quickly that within like half a mile that I wasn't running fast tonight. It was I was still feeling the 20 miler I did on Sunday morning, and there was no way that I was going to be running fast home on the road. So I decided to take my trail route home. So I thought, oh, it's been quite sunny, so most of the trail, like the muddy bits that would sort of stitch me up in road shoes, would be like it'd be okay to go over it, sort of thing. I'd be all right. And I was fine. I was fine. All the grassy and muddy bits were great, but then I got onto my local trail that comes literally like right past my house. And I was just like just tootling along and just like got too close to the edge of the trail. They'd like resurfaced it, and I'd not noticed that it's raised up a little bit, and there's at the edge of the trail there's a bit of a drop off. And I just wasn't paying attention, like I was trying to get something out of my side pocket of my bag, and my foot literally like dropped off. My right foot dropped off and dropped down by about 2 inches, something like that, and just enough for my ankle to just completely. So it was one of those ones where you do it and you like yelp, and then you're not quite sure whether it's bad or not, and I kind of like stood there thinking it feels bad, but I'm stood on it, and I'm not keeling over in wincing pain because I have torn like, and it's always my right ankle, so it must be a weak spot because I tore it when I was about 18 years old doing a bit of skateboarding in my my previous life in extreme sports, and completely tore all the ligaments and everything, and tendons in my ankle, and I was like off work for like over 2 months. It was really bad, and I don't think it's ever really been right. Even though I do a lot of strength and conditioning, I think it's always going to be like a bit of a weak spot, and it's always clicked. Like ever since then, it's like been a bit of a clicky ankle. So yeah, that's my woes, and I kind of like hobbled home. I could run on it, and I thought this will go one of two ways. It'll either be fine tomorrow, or it's gonna get worse. And sure enough, I took my shoes off and got my foot up on the sofa just a minute ago and got some ice on it, and it all started to really, really, really hurt. So. Uh, so I won't be running back to work in the morning, that's for sure. So
Fair one. Yeah, okay. Give it a few days, see how it goes. Hopefully it's all right. It's just
yeah,
those ones that gets sorted soon.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. So that's my ankle monologue to
That's it.
start the interview.
It's not a great finish to your Tuesday, is it really?
No, no, but I suppose it could have been worse, and I
Yeah.
could have, it could have been one of those ones where, you can't even stand on it. And so running. So I'm sure I'm like into my like I'm not quite into my taper really for PB 55. I was hoping to have one this week of lower mileage, but a little bit of intensity. And then
Mm.
next week I was just gonna like be doing more or less nothing next week in preparation for your race, PB 55. Um,
I
so
doubt
we'll
a
see
week's
what
not gonna,
happens.
yeah, a week's not going to make too much difference, is it? If you're just going for a great day, it's.
Yeah.
I know you want to do. You've got the competitive spirit going in that, but sort of, just come and enjoy it.
Yeah, I know. I do. Yeah, and I do. Yeah, actually, sorry, mate. Welcome to the Ultra Running Sam podcast, Stu Westfield.
Well, hey, great to be back.
Get halfway through the interview and I
That's all right.
forget.
It's 2022, wasn't it? Last time we had one of these.
Yes, yes, yeah. I had a look as well and to see how long ago it was, 2022, and I didn't think it was that long ago.
It's gone by a
Um,
flash, isn't it? Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we're 2025 now, 2022.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I thought it's about time we had a good catch up, isn't it? Because
Definitely.
I've seen you in between time. I don't even know. Have I seen you in between time? I don't. I
I'm
can't.
sure we have.
Yeah.
I can't remember when. It's just sort of
No.
it's one of those things that you
Yes, yes, I came and
paths
did.
cross, isn't it? Mm.
Yeah, I came. Did I come and do? I came and did some filming for you, didn't I? So I was out. Yeah, I was out of. I wasn't running in. What year was it? Yeah, it might have been that year actually,
If that was
2022.
November 22, I think that might have been the last year that we did on the November Peak District South and North,
Yeah,
where we bussed everyone to the start and raced back to Edale every day.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that would have been day two, Sunday, day two on that. I
That's
think
it.
you were hanging around on Bleaklow, was it, or somewhere
Yes,
like
I
that?
did. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
on the Saturday, I came. What did I do on the Saturday? I came and filmed the everyone setting off in Ashbourne and
yeah.
a little bit on the trail, and then I bombed up to see people finishing, coming over Mamtor and everything,
That's right.
um, and then back to the finish in Edale. Yeah, and on the Sunday, yeah, I flew up to Marsden and filmed everyone at the start and everything, and then
Yeah.
yeah, then went up to Bleaklow and got everybody splashing through the stream.
Some good pics there. It was a nice day on Sunday, I seem to remember. It was good, nice blue, fresh
Yeah, it
blue
was.
sky stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, really good.
yeah.
Good,
Cold and
good
cold,
colours for the photos.
perfect, perfect, perfect Peak District weather, like blue sky,
Mm,
cold.
mm.
Yeah, that's what
I
you want.
think, yeah, I think since then we've had the cost of living crisis, or the greed crisis, as I like to call it. And yeah, so instead of that now, instead of bussing everyone, because obviously fuel costs and
Yeah.
the price of hiring in the buses is it crept up. Well, not more correctly, leapt up. It got kind of eye-watering, and I didn't feel we could increase the entry fees commensurate to make up the increased costs, which were
Mm,
basically flooding in from all left, right, and centre. It wasn't just the
mm.
transport. Um, so we made the routes loops. After
Yeah.
that, we went all loopy loo.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Is that working out better than like obviously it works out better logistics wise, but are people liking the route and stuff?
100%. Yeah, I mean, day two, I think matured quicker than day one.
Yeah.
But I've played with day one over the last couple of years, and I'm pretty happy with day one as well now. In fact, I think it's a really tasty route. A bit of everything.
Mm.
Uh, Not kind of off the scale challenging. It's great. It's a great day's adventure, but type two. Sort of. It's not kind of doing it for the kids or anything like that. And the future generations, you're getting some back for yourself as well. So yeah, I think it's south and north. Since we gone loopy, it's it's great. I'm really chuffed with the routes. They're the quality that I wanted to um, bring into that sort of format. And
Mm.
the other major benefit is I'm not stressing about the bus not turning up on each morning either, which it always did. I hasten to add,
Yeah.
Andrew's coach is great; they're always reliable, but it's sort of is always in the back of your mind.
What if?
It was quite an early start. Has the driver woken up early? Has he listened to his alarm? Sort of thing. So yeah, no, it's Yeah, that's where it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I still do. I mean, I haven't done the new routes or anything, and yeah, I intend to. But I still like that the original route is
Mm,
like. So in lockdown, I did. You very kindly gave me the all the files to put those 2 days together and do it in one go.
mhm.
I did that in one go, and I had aspirations of it. I think I never submitted it to the FKT website, and I probably should have really because I don't know if anyone. Do you know if anyone that's done that route like as like a one-off sort of route?
Not in a wanna. No.
Yeah.
No.
Because what would it be?
Hmm.
What's the mileage on it? Is it like 70 something?
Total 93 kilometers,
Yeah,
whatever miles that works out as.
yeah,
I'm
60
so
something then,
switched into
isn't it?
metric at the moment.
Is
you know,
about yeah, was it under 60, is it? I can't remember
mm,
what I did. I'm sure I did more than 60.
probably felt like it.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely did feel like it. Yeah. Yeah, because it's got to be it's not an easy route, is it? Like the first
Which way did you go? South to north or north to
I
south?
did north to south, yeah. So like I got
Okay,
so
so yeah,
I
so
finished in.
hilly day one, well, hilly part one and flat
Yeah.
to day two, but there's some, you know, horses for courses, isn't it? From that, because that flat is it's kind of great for a
Well,
if
that's
you
what I was
like just
thinking. Yeah.
Zen-like rhythm on a flat surface, it's
Yeah.
great, you know, you can get a good time in
Yeah.
there. But
Yeah.
if you're it's also that repetitive
Well,
action
it was
on the
quite
platforms as well.
it was quite warm and I'd underfueled and ran out of water. So I'd envisioned that section being, the last bit down from Parsley Hay down to Ashbourne, basically down to the car park. That was going to be like kind of my swan song of just like absolutely cruising really fast down to the finish and doing a really quick time and everything. In reality, I went to obviously set out too fast over the hilly stuff, like from Marsden. Absolutely like destroyed my legs by the time I got to Edale, I was like, I can't believe I've still got like 30 odd miles to go. I feel absolutely trashed already.
Yeah,
Um, and that was obviously only like
50K
20
to
odd
go.
miles
Yeah.
in. So I got to the bit before you cross over the road. So there's that. Is that the lime? Is that classed as the limestone way? The bit that's when you come off the Tissington Trail and go across the main road. Is that
Pomeroy. That's that Pomeroy crossing
is
on
it?
the
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
it. On
on the
the
Ashbourne Road.
crossing.
Yeah,
Yeah, on the Ashbourne
515.
Road.
What was that? There's a Midshires way on a bit of that as well. I
Is
think
it?
I can't
Yeah.
remember what the other. It's Pennine Bridleway
The Bridleway, yes. So
is
so
back it too.
I'd got to that bit and I was sort of heading up kind of slightly uphill towards the road and completely ran out of fluids and there's a house, like a farmhouse on the right hand side as you're coming from that direction to the Ashbourne Road. Um, and as I got towards it, I was sort of flagging, and I was like, "Yeah, there's definitely somebody in the garden doing some gardening." And I was like, stopped and just said, "I don't know if I could, can I be cheeky, but can I please fill up my water bottles from your tap, please?" And they were a bit like, looked at me a bit odd, but they were like, "Yeah, yeah, it's fine, carry on." And then we had a conversation about what I was doing, and obviously she thought I was an idiot, so which probably was. Um, but by that point, the damage was already done. So once I got onto the trail and I was like hoping to sort of be cruising down to Ashbourne at a nice
Mm,
pace, I was just literally just like shuffling along and trying to eat bits of food that I got left over that I didn't really fancy and just felt sick
felt quite
and I
relentless.
shuffled, and I really, really shuffled towards the end, and it wasn't quite the day that I'd planned, but
Uh,
that's trail running for you, isn't it?
it was
So
a day out though. Yeah, it's still a day
yeah,
out.
it was a day, and it was. I think it was officially we weren't in lockdown, but it was still during COVID, so I think it was the summer of 21 I did that.
Mm,
Sure.
mhm.
So I think certain restrictions were still on, but I think most things were back on again. But I don't think racing was on because can't have been racing at that point. Don't know because obviously
Oh,
everybody was just like, "Oh, there's no races. Let's do FKTs."
I can't remember that half of the year. It's just felt it all kind of just blurred. Once the
Yeah,
spring
almost.
races, did we get one of them? We got the Yorkshire Three Peaks Ultra in just about, and then the next day it
That
went to
must have been.
full lockdown the very next
Oh,
day,
really?
because they we put all the under the England athletics rules that they shoved out like tier whatever it was, and they said, well, under England athletic rules, if you're allowed to race as a time trial start,
That's it. Yeah, time trial
and no
stuff.
more than six people in a pod or whatever it
Yes.
was at the time. I can't
Yeah.
remember. So we put all that in place, and put a lot of work into rolling that out, and we got that. We got that race just done and dusted, and it was like whatever it was in the Monday or something. You know, government just said, right, stay in your homes, and if
Fucking hell.
crikey, okay, well
Yeah.
that's escalated quickly.
Yeah.
But
Overnight, literally.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. I forgot about the sort of wave starts. I did a couple of races that year
mm,
that were wave starts. I did one in Wales. Oh, what was it called? Um, run to the castle. That
okay,
was yeah. And you run along the coast like
mm.
through um is it Barmouth? Is it to Harlech Castle? You end up at Harlech Castle. And
That's
that
in the
was
right area. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that was wave starts. And then I did another race called the Silkin Way, and that was wave starts as well.
It's just a way of just if we could get something out there, and obviously priority with safety and stuff. I think we wouldn't. Every participant had to have a medical declaration form and things like that. It was it was there, wasn't it? But I think after that, everything just went to you know stay indoors and don't do anything for
Yeah.
quite a while.
Well, it seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it? All
It,
of
it
that.
it does, but I don't know what we've done since. That's it. Well, hang on, that was years ago. But hang on, what did I do? What have I done?
What have we done in between time?
Yeah,
So so I ended up doing the spine in between. So
good.
I think
Yep.
yeah, I remember seeing you when you were still working with the spine. I remember seeing you um up in the offices upstairs and I was just there. I think I was just there as a volunteer that year, the first year,
Okay. Hmm.
and uh, and so that would have been like 20, the winter of tw that might have been the winter of 21, maybe something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, something like that. And then yeah, I've been done quite a few of the spine races and stuff since.
You got into the media side of things last time, is it, or the time before?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I went and I was a volunteer on the checkpoint at Middleton when it was at Middleton. So they
Mm.
did that the first year, and then the year after I went back and blagged my way onto the media team and sort of did bits of filming and running around and stuff. And then I
Enjoy
was
that.
yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
Mm.
And then because I was a volunteer for the media team, I put my name into the volunteer lottery, thinking like everybody does, the chances of getting your name pulled. But I got my name pulled. And Dean Reed says, he sent me a message saying, what race do you want to do? And I was like, well, can I do any? And he was like, yeah, you can do any of them. I was like, right, I want the full winter race. I want my money's worth.
Go big or go home,
Yeah,
innit?
exactly. Yeah, so it was good actually because it kind of forced my hand a little bit with the longer stuff. So, because up until then, I'd been sort of doing 50 milers and 50Ks and like 100Ks and stuff.
Hmm.
But I always wanted to do 100 milers, and me and the wife had a bit of a disagreement over the years over she just assumed that if you try and run 100 miles, you die. Um, so her knowledge of ultra running and the differences in people that do all sorts of races. I was like trying to
Hmm.
explain to her, that there's people that look like they're probably not as fit as me that are doing 100 milers and doing further. It's so I would be okay. So because I'd won this place, she was like, "Well, you're obviously if you've won a place, then you're obviously gonna have to do it. So you'll have to do some long races in between as training." I was like, "Yes, that is absolutely right. I'm gonna have to do some long races in between." So I ended up signing up for Challenger North, and I did that. that's in the summer, sort of leading up to the winter of 24.
Mhm.
So basically my first 100 miler was a 168 miler.
Fair enough. Yeah, yeah. Once you've got the fitness to carry it off, and you know you've got the movement. I mean, none of these, with no disrespect at all intended to the back markers who are struggling to meet the cutoffs, you know, sort of, and it's by no means a you know, an easy thing at all. But if you can metronome the pace out and stay, you know, like a couple of clicks on average ahead of, you know, the cutoff pace, or even a kilometer per hour ahead of the cutoff pace, you know, you can quickly build up buffer, and then tap into that later on, can't you? It's the worst thing is surfing the cutoffs right from the start. It doesn't end well, you know, ever. I think. Good, you know, well done to everyone that has though. But so, you know, sort of, it's
Yeah.
you know,
I don't know if I'd want to be in that situation. I think, yeah, sort of knowing that straight away you sort of on the margin straight away would be,
a lot of
yeah,
mental stress as well. Just
yeah,
burning up mental energy, just thinking about, am I, you know, am I going quick enough, and you know, stressing then about what you're going to do at the checkpoint because you've only got 1 hour to get sort of you know, shaved and showered. You know.
yeah. Well, I think when I did the full winter spine, I think it took me an hour one time just to get something out of my bag. I was stood there looking at my bag for an hour trying to figure out what
Mm.
I was doing. Not quite, not quite with it, and yeah, but you know they're the experiences that you want when you do these long races. So you were involved with the spine. I know we talked about this before, but for people like new listeners, sort of thing, you were involved with the spine for a long time, weren't you?
Yeah, from the first year, and I did 10 years, 10 years with the spine. Um, Started off in sort of on the ground safety team, um, and the role kind of grew with the race really, and I ended up sort of developing quite a few of the safety systems and the thought process, and in from an engineering background, I'm quite process thought wise, process driven. You know, I can see a process and break it down, and you know, and ultimately with something like the spine, you want the people in the right place to do the right thing, and make sure everyone goes home safely at the end of the day. And that's basically what it is just making sure all the little bits and all the little detail, and with a race like the spine that grew as a phenomena, really. Let's face it. I mean, it's a phenomena. um it grew in the way that it did. Every year was a different, no, an evolution, not a different, it was an evolution. We learned from what we did before, put something in place, and you know, sort of, and grew as a whole towards, you know, the outcomes that we're trying to achieve, and that was, yeah, like a 10-year journey really. But yeah, so my input was pretty much, um I think in the most useful part, was bringing that an analytical mind to to processes, and discussing those things with fellow professionals who are bringing in their expertise, guys who are in mountain rescue and that sort of thing, and you know, just molding a, a a way of doing things that was appropriate for the kind of people that we were working with as well, which were predominantly volunteers, a lot of the time, you know, sort of in the safety teams and that sort of thing.
So I suppose it was groundbreaking, really, wasn't it? Because that kind of thing is it that kind of thing that has been done before, but in on such a large scale for an event like that, it is quite unique, isn't it? So you were sort of doing things for the first time, weren't you?
I think so. Yeah, it sort of felt, yeah, like some of the stuff, I think it didn't feel like completely out there. You know, there was always an element of, okay, well, this is not rocket science. You know, that we're not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything, but it's just applying good thought processes, and bringing in the right people who've got their own set of skills and experiences to add to that decision-making process. And yeah, I guess it was, if not unique or groundbreaking, then it was certainly on the bow wave of that curve. I hadn't been involved in any other long distance ultra events before that, so I haven't really got a benchmark of comparison. But I say the most important part was bringing together people of different mindsets and different experiences, and testing those ideas in and amongst ourselves before we rolled it out, or or getting the best process that we could. But every year it grew, and every year there was something else that, oh great, that's happened. Okay. Things that, sort of in scenarios which, you try and plan for something which will be which will capture a number of scenarios. You're not scenario focused, because then you end up going down a rabbit hole of, we must focus on this one thing. You have to be broad and be able to capture events and foreseeable events which maybe happen, which sort of hadn't happened before, or you think, oh, what if that happened like that, and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a lot of thinking going on.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot of work in advance. My workload, probably outside of the race itself, was probably but for summer and winter combined, was at least 2 months of my own time out of
Wow.
every year.
Yeah.
That was it. It was
Yeah.
hell of a lot of work going on.
Yeah. So where was the sort of crossover between you sort of setting up Ranger Ultras, and obviously you sort of parted ways with the Spine race, but you'd already established Ranger Ultras, hadn't you?
Yeah. Well, I think I've not done the Spine now for 2-3 years, I think it is. So I started Ranger Ultras. This is our 10th year, 10th anniversary this year, actually.
Wow.
So I started Ranger Ultras 10 years ago. Our first race was our first pair of races was the Yorkshire Three Peaks Ultra. And the idea behind that was, okay, everyone loves the Yorkshire Three Peaks. It wasn't quite the Instagram phenomena that it is these days, but it was a popular challenge event. I thought, well, hang on, I can make that into an ultra. So we were the first. Our first race was kind of groundbreaking in that, let's make the Yorkshire Three Peaks an ultra, and that was our original concept, and nobody else had done that before. And we quickly followed it by, oh, let's do something nearer to home, and we ended up with the Peak District South and North, which was, as we discussed earlier, was a full traverse of the Peak District. Things have changed since then, and we've got other evolutions of that race, but the Yorkshire Three Peaks Ultra is still what it was. What else did we grow after that? The PB55, a version of that came about.
Was that did I misremember that? Was it PB57, was it, when it first?
It was originally, it was a PB57,
Yeah,
and then it was kind of, I think it was COVID that did us, because we couldn't put everyone on the bus to go to the start. So that's what made us do the PB55 as a time trial start, a staggered start, and kind of like that, actually. It was something different. Folks could rock up within an hour and a half window. We didn't have the bow wave of people going out of the village like you would do a mass start, and it felt a little bit more sustainable from that point of view, and a little bit less intrusive for the people in Hayfield, where it starts and where we live. So we've kept that, and it's kind of a good vibe. We let people start together if they want. We're not totally strict like cycling time trials or anything like that. But so it ended up like that was the 55 that came there, and then after that, what did we do? Did we do I think? Which way around did it come?
When did you do the High Peak 100? When did that? That was a more recent one, was
It's
it?
more recent, but I can't remember whether we did that before or after the 137 and the 270? I can't remember which way around that came now.
I think that was I think the High Peak came first because I did that probably the so is that September or October?
So it was September and the Yorkshire Three Peaks was October, but we had a right old mare of a year where we had thunderstorms, all the sort of rubbish going on, made us cancel the Yorkshire Three Peaks Ultra, and we got done by Storm Brian the Bastard back in year two as well, which so you can tell my feelings about that storm there. So oh, it's just getting a little. In 10 years, we've had two events that are seriously affected by the weather, and there's no real low level, you know, threadable alternative route in the Yorkshire Three
Yeah,
Peaks. It's there
bit mud.
is, but it's not
Yeah,
like suitable for big a bigger number of people, you know. So we in the last more recent years we've swapped the High Peak and the Yorkshire Three Peaks Ultra. So we that's Yorkshire's in September and the High Peak's in October, which allows us then, if the High Peak gets nailed by sort of more inclement weather, we've got alternatives, more accessible alternatives, which is suitable for the
yeah,
race, you know, for racing. Whereas,
yeah.
yeah, and
You're
then
not
of course,
you're not exposed, are you, on that route really? Well, you're not up on really high ground, are you, on the High Peak?
no, yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, the High Peak is kind of a mid low to mid level route, and the idea is the concept is about a really interesting 70 or 100 kilometer journey, um, but an accessible terrain, not necessarily a mountain terrain, an accessible mid level hilly terrain that
Yeah,
you can, with the sections that are based on the old railway bed, you can get a bit of a lick on, and actually maybe if you're interested in a faster
mm.
100k time, then
Yeah, definitely.
that's
Yeah,
there. You know, that's
yeah.
which
Big
you,
over.
unless you're really tasty, you're not really going to get a really fast 100k time on the Yorkshire Three Peaks. There's just too many hills, isn't there?
Yeah,
You know, sort of,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a different beast. You know.
Yeah. The High Peak, yeah, it's a good one. I'd recommend that for anyone who, yeah, like you say, who wants to do like a fast 100k time.
Mm.
Um, I suppose the only downside with that race is, well, I suppose it's not really a downside. It's just that that trail can, if you're having a bad day, it can feel a bit like monotonous if you're having a bad day.
Yeah,
But if you're having
yeah,
a good day, it's great because you
yeah.
just see everything. You can see everybody ahead of you and behind you and stuff in certain places, and you can, and if you've got the legs for it, you can actually push really well. And then there's that like random gorge. What's it called? That just valley that you just have to go. You cross a field, and then you have to drop down a horrific like what's it called? That little valley that you have to go through. I can't remember what it's called.
Which bit we're talking about? On the
I'm trying to remember.
55, we've got the into
No,
the moss as well.
on the high peak 100, you go across some what's it called? It's just like a gorge that appears out of nowhere, and you've got to drop down into it and out the other side, basically. Yeah, you do it both directions. I can't remember what it's called.
You're going over Buxton and down the other side. Yeah, it's around the back, isn't it? Yeah, I can't remember. Can't remember. I'll have to look up the course again. I've got my head full of PB55 at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, that's only in a couple of weeks, isn't it? Um, yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is so this new race that, well, it's not new now, is it? So the PB 270 and PB, I'm gonna get 137 into.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've got the numbers right. I keep getting those numbers mixed up, especially when I'm trying to do like an advert for you. I always get them mixed up. But they so the sort of the angle that I wanted to sort of talk to you about it from is that um a lot of, because obviously I've been in, we talked about the spine race. I've done a load of the spine races over the years. Um and one of the things that obviously comes up with that race is that it's really hard to get into. But that's one of the beauties of your race is that it's on the same terrain in the same area. Um and it's all for a reasonable price. And what's your tagline for the race? Is it low? What do you how do you say it?
Yeah, it's just it's kind of the spirit of what we're trying to achieve is great value, low
That's it.
key, great value, trails adventure, um, and yeah, it was a natural progression really from what we were doing before. I think, okay, well, we've got the experience and the knowledge and the geographical area that we play in to put this on. And yeah, as the Pennine Bridleway goes pretty much next to where I live, sort of thing, or through where I live, that was okay. That's the one, isn't it? It's um, so recce'd it a bit. Obviously, knew the some sections closer to home. Went a bit further out and recce'd further up the course, and was really stoked about what I saw. Um,
Mm.
Obviously, it's a bridleway, so the trail is more defined than just a footpath, generally speaking, but very well defined most of the way. So you can't just switch off your route finding head, but it's not gonna completely blow your mind in terms of navigation. Um, it's a bridleway as well, so miles without stiles as well. So yeah, so you're not climbing over stiles every 5 minutes with knackered legs.
Mm.
But
No, that,
most importantly than everything is that the scenery was just awesome, and there was a real depth of flavor about the experience. It was like the scenery was every bit as good as elsewhere in the Pennines. You've got the expansive views. You've got a really great trail. You've got sort of iconic views, and also certain bits are just oozing with history. There was like little clapper bridges and a ruin of an old mansion along the way, and you could sort of stop there. There's a public toilets just next to it, and so you could stop there and sort of have a bit of a refresh. And it was just sort of wow, this is a really great route. And I thought, right, well, got to do it, haven't we? It's so it was the next thing is of course is how do we do it? And
mm,
going back to that sort of cost of living crisis thing, which hadn't quite hit, but I just felt that at the time I was it was a growing feeling, and I felt that more and more in trail running that some sections of trail runners were being priced out of
mm,
opportunities and of adventure. I thought, you know, I mean, there's not just one company that's sort of or anything like that I'm thinking of here. There's a whole bunch of companies, and they have their unique selling point and their unique selling price and what they do for the money, blah blah blah. But I thought, no, what we want is we want great value, we want quality, sustainability, and adventure.
mm,
And in some respects, they're all pulling each other different ways. Um, because it's the challenge really. It's a business challenge. Is how do you have really good quality yet make it financially accessible?
mm,
And it makes you think about what you're delivering and what you're offering. And as always, we went back to our low key ethos, which is we don't roll out marching bands and big tops and stuff like that. It's to my mind, for my personal feelings that and say no reflection on what anyone else is doing. But that's for me, that's just a waste of money. It's a waste of time
mm,
and it's a waste of money. I don't need to have marching bands to deliver
mm,
quality and adventure, and the trail is still the trail at the end of the day. So what you're putting on at the beginning and the end has to make the difference. Has to, otherwise, folks, why wouldn't you just do it yourself? So the whole PB 137 and 270 is about financial inclusivity and dropping the barriers to participation. Yeah, we got quite, sort of, banging the drum about that, really, as you can probably tell. But it just it felt the right thing to do in the life
yeah.
and times that we're living in at the moment. So that's
It's sorry for like interrupting you.
no.
Yeah, you raise like an absolutely valid point that these when you look at these big multi-day races in the UK, they come with a big price tag as well. And most people, are priced out. And, for me personally, I'd gone to the Spine and seen the Spine and thought, wow, amazing. I don't know whether I could afford the race, um, least of all the entry fee, which is a lot. And then you've got the mountains of kit that you've got to have as well on top of that, and the time that you've got to invest into training and recceing and stuff like that. It's a real, for a family man like me, it was, the idea of doing that, um, to potentially put my family out of a holiday for a year so that I can go and do a selfish adventure is like quite a, if you're someone who cares about your family, it's not something that you take a decision that you take lightly. So for me, like getting a free place in the lottery was like that's perfect for me.
Bingo. Yeah, great.
That's
Yeah.
that's my routine, and if I'd not got that, then there's every real chance that I would not have done the Spine at all by this point. So for me, price point is a very very valid thing that people need to consider. And no offense to anyone who does the Spine, but it's not a certain class of person, but a certain person with a certain amount of affluence and a bit of disposable income, that can do that. But like you say, that price is out, a massive chunk of the trail running community. And we're sold this idea, aren't we, that we come into trail running because all you need is a pair of shoes and you go out and you go trail running, which
Yeah.
is true. But when you start looking at these big multi-day races that have big title sponsors, that is obviously very different, isn't it? So I can
It
see
is.
why you've done that.
I don't think primarily of the PB 270. Yes, it is a race and it's got time cutoffs and that sort of thing. But that my prime thoughts about the 270 and the 137 are experience, the experience and the adventure along the way, the sense of journeying as well. So that if you get the cutoffs so that they're physically accessible, so you got financial, the number one barrier is financial accessibility. It doesn't matter what else you do, if people can't afford to enter, you know they can't afford to enter. So that's the first thing, financial accessibility. The next thing is, okay, once they've decided they like what you're offering, is the next thing they want is the experience. It's the adventure along the way, and that's what most people are aiming for. Okay, so you've got the top guys and ladies who are, nip and tuck for the places and that sort of thing, and that's fantastic. But they kind of almost look after themselves in a way, because sort of they are generally more experienced, generally more self-sufficient, generally sort of arrive at a checkpoint and they've got their routines in place and etc. So you make sure they're okay, of course, and you're there for them when they need you. But it's most of the people in the race are there for the journey. They want, at the end of the day, they want to feel like they've achieved something that is been worthwhile, uplifting, and maybe transformational in some sort of way as well. And what once you've got them into that with the price point, then we do work really hard to make sure that the experience is everything that they're looking for. Which is why there's so much included. We include a bed at the beginning and a bed at the end in the 137. We've got beds available at the beginning if they want it the night before, and there's a bed at the end included, as well as good food. It's that thing. We don't do the marching bands and the big tops, but we do nice, good home quality food that you get into a checkpoint, and there's plenty of it, and you can feel like you've been like a proper pit stop top up, and all the things that you would want. It's important. Yeah.
So it's that, yeah, you're getting that experience, aren't you? Yeah, you're quite right. You'll always have people at the front, won't you, that are they're there to either win the race or just do it as fast as they can, and they, yeah, like you say, they'll be experienced have done other big ultras before, and they'll have their routine sort of down, and they'll be off through checkpoints as quickly as possible and moving forward. But then, like you say, you've then got the people that probably have never done that before, never thought they would ever get to a place in their running career where they could do something so big and so
Mm,
adventurous.
mm,
And they're the people that you really catering to, aren't they? That people that
indeed.
want to
Yeah.
have that like once in a lifetime experience. Well, not once in a lifetime, but definitely like a worthwhile experience to be able to sort of look back and say, show somebody a map and say, I ran from here to here on a map,
Mm.
which is great, isn't it? When you can do stuff like that.
Gives them an opportunity to, if they want to step up and challenge themselves. And maybe if they like that challenge and that feeling, it doesn't have to be a one-off. It can lead on to many other things in all sorts of directions. They can get the bug for it. I mean,
Mm.
it's where we all started, wasn't it? We somewhere along the line, we stepped up into a playground like this and thought, oh, I like that. I kind of want a bit more of it, and if not someone else, then why not me? So
Yeah,
yeah, that was the thing, wasn't it? It's
amazing.
and it gets addictive, I suppose, isn't it? It's sort of
Yeah, oh yeah,
the
definitely.
adventure. Yeah.
Um, just talking about the route then.
Hmm.
Do you know why does the Pennine Bridleway start where it starts? Because it seems to start it's in the middle of the trail, isn't it? Like, because what's the I get the word right, significance of it's Middleton top, isn't it?
Middleton stops where it starts. Yeah.
Because
Um,
why? Because obviously that trail to me, that trail starts at Cromford.
yeah, that's very true. There's a big mill complex at
Mm.
Cromford. I'm not sure quite what the history of that is.
Yeah. So why does it start at Middleton?
Don't know. I don't know. Actually, it's a good question. I'll have to do my homework on that one. I know in that area there's lots of mills and lots of quarries.
Mm.
So the first section where that starts at Middleton Top is it's on the old route of the Trans-Peak Railway,
Got you. Yeah.
with the inclines. So
Mm.
when they built the railway, they had inclines, and there was too steep for locomotives just to pull the carriages up the hill. They had to sort of winch them and counterbalance them or do all sort of engineering stuff.
Mm.
And that was all along that sort of that high peak trail sort of section there. But why it starts at Middleton Top? Never asked the question actually.
Mm.
There's some industrial architecture there as well.
Yeah. Mm.
Hmm, don't know.
Bit of
Um,
homework. Yeah.
yeah, a bit of homework maybe. Yeah. And it finishes at Kirkby Stephen. Well, it finishes near to Kirkby Stephen. The actual finish is a bit weird, because where we go, we actually finish in Kirkby Stephen itself. So the last couple of kilometres of the 270 deviates away from the Pennine Bridleway as such and
Mm.
takes you into Kirkby Stephen, which is by far a more
Logistics. Yeah.
logistically appropriate and good finish for everyone, because you feel like you're finishing at a destination. But the actual Pennine Bridleway sort of goes off to the northwest and ends up at a road somewhere. Now,
Mm.
what I can tell you about that is that there is plans afoot, and have been afoot for several years. So they're not really going to happen in time soon. I don't think. There's always lots of talk about it occasionally, is
Mm.
to extend the Pennine Bridleway northwards and ultimately to link it up to Burness, I believe.
Wow.
Um, I've had a look at the map and you can see a natural line of
Mm.
where it would go, but I think there's still a lot of planning and
Mm.
rights of way
Yeah.
things to deal with first. So it's been talked about for many years, but
So that would make that. So that would make it.
about 400k, I think, something
Yeah.
along those lines. Yeah, significant. Um, yeah, that's yeah, that's why we end up at Kirkby Stephen. Not quite the true finish of the Bridleway, but by far more,
Mm.
yeah, more of a finish rather than just ending at a roadside. Hey, you're here. Oh, was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, you probably would have to put on a marching band and a big top for a
I think,
finish.
yeah, you'd need something, wouldn't you? Yeah, so, yeah, it's a bit slightly underwhelming otherwise. It's nice to have an indoor venue, and you can
Yeah,
give some.
get
They
warm.
finish, they come in the door, something to eat. There's a bed there, and or just like most folks do when they finish, is they're so stoked so they can't sleep. It's just they want to. What about this bit? What about that bit? So yeah, did you see such and such at this bit?
Yeah,
And the chat goes on all night.
amazing. Yeah, yeah, I'm gutted that I can't do it this year, and it's been on my bucket list since you first put the race on. I was like, that is a race I've got to do, and
Mm,
financially this year, logistically, we've just literally just my listeners will probably heard me talk about it, but we've literally just brought a house in the last couple of weeks, and I'm like completely decimated financially.
fair one. No, absolutely fair one. Yeah. How's it going? Well, it's
Yes,
your house anyway. You're already in there, weren't you? Is that right?
yes, yes. So we've lived in this house in Etwall for 14 years now, and it was owned by a friend of my wife's family, and lovely old old, I say old lady, yeah, she's like in her late 80s now. And when we first moved in, we've always loved living here, absolutely loved it. Even in winter when there's like problems with drains and floods and stuff down the road and everything, we still absolutely have always loved living here. And when we first moved in, she said, you can rent it for as long as you like, but I'll never sell it because it means too much to me. And we were
Fair.
like, fair enough, but if you'll let us stay here for as long, because we could never, at the time we couldn't afford to buy it anyway. So we're just like, we're just happy to just live in the countryside and be
Mm,
so close to all the stuff that, it was perfect for the girls. So we're literally like a mile from the school and stuff. Um, and literally like outside the house is a public footpath that goes to a trail that's the old Northern Line, the Derby Northern Line,
mm,
which is like a converted trail now. Um, so it's like absolutely perfect for us and stuff. And then she just suddenly decided that she came to us and said, I've had to make some serious decisions about the house. And we were like, oh no, she's going to kick us out. And she was like, I've decided if you want to buy it, you can buy it. And we were like, really? Um, so we said, oh, let us try and sort out the finances for it, and we'll sort of get back to you. And that kind of like rolled on for a few years while we sorted ourselves out, and then eventually, yeah, things came together, and we managed to scrape everything together. And but it's been having like lived here for so long, and it been like within our means to rent it and everything. The having to buy it has been like a big ordeal for us. And
mm,
I've not owned a house since I was in my 20s, so we had a house before that we rented out and then sold. That was a bit of a financial weight round the neck, and we never ever thought that we'd own another house. We always thought we'll just rent in nice places. Uh,
mm.
so yeah, so it came together, but it has meant that yeah, basically I'm broke now and I'm going to be broke for a while. So, but we're happy.
Yeah, you're happy. That's the main thing. Isn't it? It's yeah, and well done for getting it as well.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't think I'd be buying a second house in my mid 40s. Yeah, well, that was a yeah, that was a shock. That I've still got a few years left in me of work, obviously, to pay for it.
no, but it's yours then as well, isn't it? You're paying for your place, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, that's
It's
it.
that's
And
the
and as well, it is only like a small cottage, and I've got two now teenage daughters who I used to I think I took for granted all the years of like going for a long run on a Sunday morning and coming home and having hot water to have a bath and just like lie in a bath for like half an hour or 40 minutes. And now I like just can't get in the bathroom. So we've only got one bathroom.
okay.
So the plans are already afoot for an ensuite
I suppose.
bathroom
Okay, yeah.
for basically just for me. So I've said I don't care if I can't have a toilet in there. I just want to have running water so that I can have a roll top bath and just get in it and just not be bothered by the girls banging on the door saying, "Get out! I need a shower." So
Just sit there on a Sunday smoking a cigar and reading the paper.
peace at last. Yeah.
Hey,
But there's, you'll know yourself, obviously, as you get older and you get sort of get into a nice routine of things. It's yeah, they're they're shaking me up a little bit and they're keeping me on my toes as they get older and get a bit more demanding. They're not these little girls that run around in dresses anymore. No,
no,
we're the
no.
ones running around, driving them around in, being the taxi and everything for them. So.
GCSEs level, or are they
Oh
GCSE?
no, so Tilly's my oldest. She's got one more. Yeah, she's got one more year. So I forget the years how they number them because it was different when we were at school.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
So
Yeah.
she's got one more. So in September she starts a final GCSE year and everything. So and then Polly's a couple of years younger than her, so
Okay. Yeah.
she'll be next. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it'll be cars next. I've already told her
Gosh,
to start saving up for driving lessons. So.
cars, university, and boyfriends, and
We're
then
gonna, yeah,
marriage, and maybe I don't know.
yeah. So I'm broke now. I'm going to be even more broke as the years go on.
I don't
So
think it gets any better, mate.
no, no, he doesn't. No, but anyway, yeah, we're not here to talk about cars and houses and stuff. What's so for Ranger Ultras then? What's sort of have you got plans afoot for anything new, or are you sort of is everything locked in now with races? You don't see any changes.
um, I'm always looking at things to develop. Yeah. So a couple of things that might happen, um, which we're looking at the moment, is the 55 route is it may be the last year we do the route itself,
Hmm.
but next year we might have a new route on the 55. So watch this space. Yeah, I've innovated, the south and north as discussed earlier. The Yorkshire Three Peaks route's not going to change, but I feel like, yeah, a little bit of a refresher on the 55 route might be timely.
Because
So
that's an out and back, isn't it?
that's an out and back, yeah, and having sort of not just well, I've found the joy of a loop route on the south and north that we did. I might just sort of do a loop route on the 55, and yeah, watch this space for that one. That could be coming soon.
Mm.
Um,
I know people generally prefer a loop, don't they, for a race, but I I don't know whether I'm unusual in this that I like an out and back. Like
mm,
that's what I loved about the High Peak 100, that you know what you've got coming because you've already ran over it basically and just in reverse. And if you are going for a time or like a quicker performance, then you can kind of figure things out a bit easier, can't you, sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think the High Peak 100 is that's kind of mature now in terms of its route. I like that as well as that you've also while you're on the trail, if the day's not going to your as well as you want, and you would feel like you get to the 35-kilometer mark and you don't feel like you've got another, you know, overall another 30K in your legs, then
Mm.
at the 35K mark, you just tell the marshal, and so I'm doing the 70 race.
Yeah.
So you turn around there so you decide while you're on the course. So it's sort of it's
That's unique, isn't it, in a
yeah,
race that you don't you
like
don't really get that in any races, do
choose your
you?
course while you're out there. Sort of, well, you choose your distance while you're
It's your
out there.
adventure.
There you
Mm.
go. I thought that was quite interesting. It makes
It
strategy.
was tempting, and I must admit it was tempting. So I got to that point with the checkpoint at the 35K mark, and I can't remember the name of the couple that were doing it and doing the checkpoint. They were like, "You, do you fancy finishing now? Are you carrying on, or are you going to turn around here?" And I was like, "Oh," but at that point, I think I was in second for the 100, and he was ahead of me, but I didn't quite know how far ahead of me he was. I think in hindsight, what I should have done was just turned around and won the 70K. rather than try and chase him down because he was quick and I never caught him. So fair play, fair play. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he did. He ran a really good race, and I never caught him. So
So
yeah,
that makes it interesting, doesn't it? It's sort of, as well as if you're not tussling for the lead, then if you're really not feeling it on the day,
yeah,
make the 70k your distance for the day and finish a good finish having a great day rather than trying to
yeah,
finish 100k on the bones of your backside, sort of like completely annihilated and not fit for anything
yeah.
for the following day. I don't know. So anyway, that's the 70-100. What else is coming? The potentially big news, unannounced. This is the exclusive,
Exclusive. Okay.
world exclusive.
Yeah.
Some changes for the 270 next year. We may be looking at removing day one, and so that's the long section between Middleton Top and Edale. The rationale behind that is that the trail permit fees are becoming too much, and then also there's the cost of the minibus hire as well. That's increasing, and it's generally driving the cost in a direction where I'm not happy to be charging that much to the participants. So having a good think about that, and basically starting what will
Yeah.
be the 200 at Edale. So everyone piles into Edale, registers, gets a bed for the night, starts the following morning, and does the section from Edale to Hebden in the daylight, which arguably is probably the most trickiest part, is going around Glossop. It's not, to be fair, that bit is not the quality of the race in terms of scenery. You've just got to get around Glossop, but that's that bit. But at least you get to do it fairly swiftly on day one. The bit leading up to that is great. I love the stretch into Hayfield and round the back of there. Tiny bit round Glossop, and then you're back out onto the lovely trails again. So you get to do that bit in the daylight. So it's done with. It means that we've not set a cost yet, but the price will not be going up next year for that. Arguably as well, it's more accessible because there'll be, with it being a long distance race, it's one less day off work as well. So instead of starting on Wednesday morning, you start on Thursday morning. So effectively, folks wanting to do a long distance race only need to take Thursday and Friday off work. And we're hoping, I'm hoping that will be an incentive to increase the numbers. So one thing we're not going to do is we're going to flood the trail full of people. You're not there. The 270 is not or under 137 is not a race where you're going to be following head torches of 200 people all the way, and that's all. You're going to be amongst other people on the course, but you're not going to be in like just a ribbon of people. It's more thinking than that. It's more involved. It's more spiritual, if you want to call it as well. I can't see the pleasure in just following a dot trail of head torches all the way up the course and not thinking about what you're seeing or enjoying. So it will still be a low number of entries. Obviously, like a few more than what we've got. That's always, beneficial. But it's like like we did with the Ultra Awards the other day. We're always going to struggle to, in a way, win an award on that basis because our participant numbers are intentionally kept low. So it's like it truly is low key. It's so low key that we'll probably never win an award. But in terms of the quality, absolutely 100% convinced that you will get everything you want out of that route. So that's the big thing. The idea is for the 270 becoming the 200, and of course this autumn we're big celebrations for the 10th anniversary So we're focusing on the Yorkshire race for that and the South and North race for that as well. So we're going to do some really good raffles and things like that. Some nice prizes, some prizes which reflect the whole journey of Ranger expeditions and Ranger ultras. So maybe something from something from Tanzania or Kenya or something like that. Some bits and bobs of South African food. Just nice things. Sort of little good feel good things. So yeah,
Yeah, 10 years. Wow.
10 years. I know. Where's it all gone?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 10 years. Oh, well, appreciate you coming on, Stu, and it's great to have a catch up because I know like if we do see each other, if it's at a race or something, it's never really like we just get like 5 minute quick catch up chat sort of thing, but we never really get into it and have a proper chat. So it's nice
That's
to
been great. We said we'd do it again, didn't we? Last time we said, yeah, let's
yeah,
do it. This has been fun, and it's been great as well.
it's been a few years, but we'll keep it up. We'll just keep doing it whenever
Yeah.
we get a chance, and I'm looking forward to seeing. Yeah, I love all of your races, but the you know the 270 that will become the 200. They're the kind of races that I think that as people are getting into there seems to be a trend on there in people going for the really long stuff, and obviously there's a place for 50Ks and everything in between, but there is not that it's a fashion, but it seems to be that the trend is going that way, that 200 milers are the new 100 miler, and
Mm,
people are
mm.
really going in for these multi-day adventure races. So yeah, I think that's that race when um when it's settled as being a two, yeah, that'll be 200 Ks, won't it? Yeah, so
200K. Yeah.
20
So not
miles.
not desperately long enough to be inaccessible, but
Yeah,
long enough to feel like
but
you've
long
been
enough.
on a good journey. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, I think that will become one of your the iconic races of Range Rules, and obviously everybody, with it starting at Edale as well, you've got that connection to the people that love that other race. There's that connection there of that you're starting on hallowed ground, really, aren't you, in Edale? So
We are. I mean, we will be starting at the Peak Centre this year. Well, we'll be not
base there, yeah.
basing at the Peak Centre for the registration and checkpoint one this year. We've got the Peak Centre next year. It helps to actually work there as well, mind you. So thank you, Ben, for allowing us to sort of book those couple of
In
days.
advance, yeah. Amazing. Well, thanks for coming on, Stu, and I appreciate you coming on and catching everybody up with what's going on with you and with Ranger Ultras, and for people listening that are sort of I've said this before in like a bit of an advert for you, that if you're considering doing these long races and these multi-day races, if you've seen how people are signing up for the Spine and spending a fortune on that, if you want a low key but still the same amount of adventure and distances, then Ranger Ultras is the place to go to and to.
Cheers, Sam. Yeah, certainly is. Be fun.
Awesome.
Always a
Thanks.
pleasure, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
See you, everyone. Bye, 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 bye.